So this is a 1999 Isuzu Amigo, and we're going to be changing the brake pads, and we're going to be changing the rotor. And in order to get this off, we're going to have to take the bearings out of here and pull all of that off. So the first thing we do is we're going to pull this caliper off. We're going to place it behind here on this control arm, the wishbone, and then we're going to go about getting this off. All right, let's get that done. Alright, so this little lock ring right here, let me clean this up a little bit. Alright, you see this little thing moving right here? It's being held in by screws. And those screws strip out very easily. You may have to drill them. If you do have to drill them, it's going to be hard to find screws. You just got to find some little machine screws that fit in the hole and kind of jam them in there. Can you hold off on that for a second? So I'm going to take these 3 screws out, and then the lock ring behind it screws off of the axle. Then the bearing comes out and the whole rotor comes off. Alright, let's get to work. Alright, so there's some really cool shit going on here.
Can I touch it?
Alright, this is metal shavings in a magnet shape. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Touch this bottom broken side. Let me get in place. You're gonna knock the whole thing. It's like a creature. Alright, so what that is, let me back this up. What that is there's a little diamond shaped piece of metal that hooks to the emergency brake cable, and then when you pull the emergency brake, I'm gonna pan down here, this is the back side of the rotor. This gear right here is where that jams into and starts to flip, boom 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 boom, and it slows it down. Well, if you pull the emergency brake, you get shavings of metal, which is a lot of this gunky stuff. This is the back bearing right here. We're gonna go ahead and clean that out. You can tell if I shine in there, it's pretty old and gunky. We're gonna go ahead and fix that up. Back side of this rotor is toast. This is what we were hearing. Hell, come see. Yeah, that is toast. That thing looks like the rings of Saturn. That's gonna go in my metal pile. But back to this cool little awesome metal shavings thing. Look, a piece is coming off. You see there's some rust and stuff growing in there. Get down like this. It's pretty fractal. Pretty awesome. It's just magnetized. Look. It's just magnetized metal shavings. But unfortunately, it's got to go. Really doesn't want to leave. Pretty awesome. I'll spray it with some fast brake. Get that shit out of here. Hey, he'll bring me the brake clean. So we're gonna make this thing. We're gonna get this all new grease. notice this is where the ring screws on, holding that bearing in place. Back bearing sits here, front bearing sits here. Boom, tire spins. Alright, so now it's time to get the housing, the bearing housing off of the rotor. So I'm going to have to take all of these off, and then I'm going to flip it over. And to get this gearing off, we're going to have to take off 1, 2, 3 Allen sets. And then this gear, the safety emergency brake gear, will come off, and that'll allow the rotor and the housing to separate. So let's get it going. Alright, so after a fashion, I got this thing rigged up where I can get these tough bolts out. I'm going to spray a little bit of fast brake on both sides of the bolt. I got this thing on the ground where I can stand on it and kind of get some body weight into it and really put some pressure. Got my 17mm. Stand on it like this. Really give it a little bit of a whop. There we go. Boom. That one's loose. I'll come back to that one. Alright. We'll be back.
And now a word from our sponsors. Bees Nuts.
In your mouth. If you get bruises, try Bees Nuts Bruise Oil.
Hey, everywhere.
Alright, so I got all of this taken apart, so you can see here. I got all this taken apart. If you didn't catch what happened during the time lapse, I'm going to put everything back together right here for you. You can kind of follow these steps backwards to get it apart. So this, face down, goes on here. You got to rotate it until your 5 bolt holes are lined up. Then you're going to take your emergency brake gear and you're going to put that on. You're going to push that down, line it up, make sure everything else stays lined up. I don't want to pinch these tight until I got my other 5 bolts in, but I do want to get them in there. All right, so this is going in, but not fully tight. All right, boom. So I'm not going all the way tight just yet with these either. Like anything that has to line up with a lot of bolts, you want to go in a star pattern. So you want to skip one and go to the next one. This will allow this to kind of move around and center itself where it needs to be. Exactly, you don't want any wobble to happen. Anything that's going to spin like that, you want to get centered. And this is just a by hand way of centering shit. Alright, press pause. Stop it. So it's going to go on, it's going to sit like that. You want to lift and push, make sure it gets all the way back up on there. Alright, once we have that, we're going to move on to we've got this bearing, this outer bearing. We're going to make sure it's clean. Clean this up nice. This is what your car spins on. Alright, so we want to make sure there's no goop, no Cajun snow stuck in there, which is the cypress balls y'all are seeing everywhere.
They hurt.
It's glue, basically.
Like walking on glass with glue.
Oh, gluey glass. Wait, let me grab my grease, please. A little bit of grease on here. Just kind of roll it in there. I was nervous when I started doing this, but then I realized it's just like a forklift. I've done this thousands of times. Once I broke it open, I was like, shit, I've done this some time. Push that on there. Alright, saw how it's seated on there. When I got that pushed back, kind of clear the area a little bit of too much goop. Get the lock ring. Make sure this doesn't have any trash or anything on it. It goes on there like that. Make sure you get it on right. See, it's not going to go on there right. Use a screwdriver to try to get it to seed. Yeah, once the seed's clean, you roll that on there, pull it tight. That's going to pinch that bearing in there tight for you. Alright, now I'm going to clean this up. I usually like a little bit of grease here, but I'm going to clean this up so y'all can see what I like to do. Alright, so now that that's on there, well, while you're driving, what you don't want to happen, and why you got to have these little screws on there, is for this to back off and then everything to wobble out. So you're going to use this lock washer. Alright, this lock washer needs a little cleanup as well. Fucking cypress balls get everywhere. You alright?
Sorry. Not really.
She's sick the one time in 10 years. You don't have a remedy for that?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I started taking it last night.
Alright, so I'm going to have to get this lined up right. Alright, notice that this little thing won't let anything turn. It's touching inside of here. So once I put these bolts back, this thing's locked on, it's good to go. Last time I had a lot more cleaning to do. I had to drill out the other side. I was able to get these, luckily. It's one less step at manufacturing bolts. Trying to make something the right size that fits. These are Isuzus, man. They're kind of hard to find parts for when it comes to little silly shit like this. You can always go to pull apart, and good luck with that. as you've seen already, if you follow this channel, they destroy shit if you ask for any help. And found a really good place. Alright, so you put this here, you push down on the old brake pad, that's going to press down the hydraulic press. It's going to decompress it, or compress it. Push that juice back into the master cylinder. You want to be careful that this thing doesn't fall over on you and rip this hose out. Pretty good at balancing, so just be careful. Just keep going with that. So this right here is pressed all the way down. It's going to give you time to work if it does press back out on you. Usually it'll stay for a little minute. A couple of minutes. Alright, let's get that out the way. Put this back on. Where's my grease? My packet of grease.
Yeah.
So I just had to squeeze the caliper again. I told you it usually gives you a while, but it didn't give me much time that time. Once I squeezed it, everything went right back on nice. Brake pads obviously go in, slide in on each side. Not gonna bore y'all with that. There's a million brake pad videos, but not too many on how to change the rotor on an Isuzu. So, what the hell? Where's my 22? Tighten these two bolts back on. Turn like that, quarter turn. It should be on there good. Yeah, a little bit of rubbing at first to them brake pads. All right, we put the tire back on. We're done.